Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Jefferson Highway show. This is one of our favorite shows to do because it's all about traveling America's very first vacation route. It goes from Winnipeg, Canada, down to New Orleans, or if you want to go from New Orleans to Canada, you can do that too. It is, it was started in 1915, and we do the show every fourth Thursday to look at what you can experience. We talk about the history, the culture. It is just, Nancy and I are kind of addicted. Do you think kind of? I kind of like it's a little bit more than that. There's so much to experience. Music, history, food, cool. Right? Food, other highways, which we're going to get into. But today's show is really about the world Guinness records, the world records, right? Or the Guinness World Records. Now, I want to even go back into, can we have Guinness when we should be drinking Guinness when we do this right now. I'm just like, hello. We've got a restaurateur on this show. I'm just going to say, can you pour some Guinness now? Can we come have some onion rings? I was on your website, Beth. like some onion rings, please. I know. We should be doing a show from your cafe. But, first, before we bring everyone on the show, of course, we've got Roger Bell. He's the president of the Jefferson Highway Association, and this is the association that is instrumental for creating the Jefferson Highway, again, starting back in 1915. So, everyone, jeffersonhighway.org is the website to go to. And if you're in tourism, food, all of it, go check it out, become a member. And if you're a traveler, become a member too. And they've got a Facebook group that is awesome because, like, if you're like me and geek out on maps and history and markers and all that, you're going to love it. So welcome back, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to our program.
Well, you got two good guests for us as usual. You're good at, like, you bring amazing people on. And tonight we're going to be talking about world records in hair and stickers, two things that should never meet. But you could meet them on the highway, maybe. You never know. I want to bring on ladies first, Beth Hilburn, excuse me. She is the owner of Highway Cafe. And apparently, and you should go to the website, hi-waycafe.com. She's got a car that has the most stickers on a car ever, over 60,000. So it's 60,066 unique stickers. So welcome, Beth. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
And cool. Beth, can we really have an order of of onion rings?
Yes, we can arrange that. Some onion rings and some homemade ranch to go with it, huh?
Ooh, yeah.
Cinnamon rolls, what I want.
Ooh, cinnamon rolls?
Oh, yeah.
No matter what happens, this show ends up in food. I'm just saying, so we might as well just start off with it. But so you're in Veneta, Oklahoma, Roger. So this is kind of you're sending me an email, and I know we saw signs. And did Nancy and I go through this? I'm like, Nancy and I have kind of been everywhere this year in the last few years. We travel full time.
I don't know your route. You very well could have. I don't know how your routing through Oklahoma was when you travel. This is a part of the Jefferson Highway routing that we share with Route 66. So, this is a business that Beth has embraced us, and we're basically, she's really on, I would call it crossroad, because just probably less than a mile from her is where the Jefferson Highway turns south towards Texas and continues on west onto Tulsa on the Route 66. So this is a place that is a very special place and great place to eat. And they recently set this great world record, and they seemed appropriate people to have on our show.
Cool. I love this. I think it's exciting because I think even just looking at your website and seeing your sign, it just takes me back. And, I love that it's the unity between two very historic highways. And Jefferson Highway is older than Route 66, right, Roger? Am I right on that?
You are correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, look at me. I'm just not being competitive or anything at all.
No, not at
I'm
all.
just saying, I'm just saying, well, they're both important. They're both important highways, but you've got this amazing sign. And is it true that not only do you have this car, which we want to talk about, but you have the muffler man? That's important.
Yes, we have added a muffler man that was actually built by Mobile One last year when they did a campaign to kind of highlight small businesses along Route 66. They traveled him up Route 66 all the way from, they started in California and went all the way up to Litchfield, Illinois. And every stop that they did a world record, and or they attempted a world record, and of course they were able to get it. And then they came through and really came back to me and wanted to know about coming back after leaving Illinois. They thought about maybe bringing him back to the Bonita and doing a world record here and have this be his final stop. And we were very thrilled to work with them, and we were kind of presented several options. One of them was the largest pancake, and have people eat the largest pancake, and some different ideas. But I'm kind of a car person. I really love the idea of various highways, and I remember as a kid traveling, and that's kind of what we did. My parents were older, and so road trips were kind of something that we did as a family. And my grandparents, I lived in Oklahoma growing up when I was young. My grandparents, one set lived in Texas, another set lived in Arizona, and I just remember actually laying in the back dash of a car as we went down the road. That was before seatbelts. So, and I remember picnicking like on the side of the road out of the car, kind of a thing, out of our coolers that we had. But so for me, a car, when they presented the most stickers on a car, I really didn't know what to envision. They went to work. I kind of went to work. I found this car. It was a local purchase. We had some dear friends, the Chamberlains, that live here in Craig County, and were friends of ours. They had this 1963 AMC Rambler. I love the Rambler. I like the way it looks, and it scoots around. Really, it's kind of a quick little car. And so we decided to go with the Rambler. It was a 1963, which was the same year that the cafe was built. So for me, it was a perfect fit, and I just felt like this car came into my life at the right time, and it was it just was an epiphany for me. So I went to work. We got the car. Mobile One had it wrapped with their design that they basically use their NASCAR company that does their wraps for their car. So we took it over to a place in Arkansas, had it wrapped with basically grid lines. So we kind of had a ballpark of where the stickers were going to go, and we kind of went to work.
Now, can you add more to it, or is it like that's it? If you do it again, you have to get another car.
Yeah, it's completely done. We had to. Every sticker is a 1/2 inch square. They were all applied using tweezers. They could not overlap. There was a lot of rules with Guinness. They could not overlap. They had to be just butted up right next to each other. We really, before I started this project, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have a sticker car. We're going to leave it outside. We're going to let people sticker over it. We're just going to keep it going. And then once I saw the car, I realized this is a work of art. We cannot cover this up. So we were in the process. We had won a grant from the National Park Service, the National Trust, and American Express. And it was one of the grants. We actually were fortunate enough to win 2 grants last year. And one of the grants provided us with $40,000. They selected 25 businesses across the United States, and we were one of them. And so we were in the process of fulfilling that grant. We were adding on to our cafe, and it was kind of a fluke, but I was actually adding on what I was calling the garage. We added a glass sliding garage door that we can open and have like an open air patio. And then of course during the winter time, we would be able to close it up and still have like 35 additional seats. So for us, we were right in the middle of doing that. And then when the car happened, well, I naturally, we have to park the car inside, and you come and you dine with the car inside the cafe. So that's where we have it set up now, in what we call lovingly the garage. And so we have the car out here. We can pull it out. It does run, so we can pull it out, use it in parades. We did have it clear coated and heat sealed so that none of the stickers can be removed. They're there permanently. The stickers actually cover every piece of the body of the car. So there is not one speck of the body that's not covered with a sticker. Through Guinness, part of the rules with Guinness, we could only count the stickers that were fully exposed. So any sticker that is folded underneath, like part of the door jamb or different places, you couldn't count that sticker. So the car actually has more than the 60,000, but that's what we could claim with Guinness Book of World Records. So and we had to pick a car that was comparable. The current world record was like 45,000, and I think it was a Toyota Corolla, and it was in Kuwait City. So we had to have engineers that actually determined the square footage of the body of the car and determine if our stickers were going to be comparable. You have to have like apples to apples in order to break the world record. So there was a lot that went into this, but it ended up it took us about 8 days and 100 volunteers. And we worked basically 12-hour days to get it all stickered.
Well, it's kind of like the Rose Bowl where everybody puts all the roses and flowers in, and you have to do it at a specific time all at once kind of thing. Like it's a massive project, but I just find it fascinating. Like, when you think about when we all get our car registration, we put we renew our tags and we have to go do the sticker on, our license plate. And I'm always like, dang, did I clean it off well enough? Did I stick it on? Is it going to, at this point with our car traveling across the country full time, this car, she's a good girl and we talk to her, but very, a lot. And, I'm like, that sticker better not fly off. Gosh darn it. No matter where we go and whatever weather we go through. And I always think about it. And every time I do that tag, because it's always this ordeal to get the tag because we're on the road full time. We can't get mail.
Beth,
like
did you ever grow up or ever think you would be a world record holder?
No, right?
Never. It's something that I really dreamed of. As a kid, I remember getting the book when I was in school, and I would order the Scholastic book, and I would see all the world records, and I remember thinking, I can't do that many hula hoops at a time, or whatever it was that I was looking at the time. But it was really exciting. It was something that, my kids, I have a 26-year-old that's married that came and did it. I have a girl that's a senior. She's 17, a senior in high school. And then I have a 4-year-old. And they were all able to put stickers on and take their picture. And, they all got a certificate saying that they were a participant in a Guinness Book of World Record. And, just to be able to enjoy that. My mother, who was, 85 at the time, came and put stickers on. And, she passed away this spring. So it's really special to have something that every facet of my family was involved. I had people that, drove. We had people from all over, from states that came. I had a couple gentlemen that came to sticker the car. They drove their van with a big banner on the back of it that said, "Here we come to sticker the car, Highway Cafe." And they drove across Texas and into Oklahoma to do it. And they had everybody sign it. They had my whole staff. They had everybody that was here sign the banner. And then they came back when I did my neon sign relighting. They were here and had it framed and presented it to us. So it's hanging out here with the car. And, just a lot of just blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. But it is definitely something that we cherish, and we met some incredible people during that time, and it's something that we just will always remember.
Well, thank you for keeping Neon alive. We have some friends that will, they've probably been there and photographed it. Drew and Maggie, right? Drew Boersman.
Yeah.
I know they've probably been there and photographed it, and they keep. I don't know when was it relit? What year?
We relit our neon sign this year in March the 25th.
Way. Oh, we got to come see
Yes.
you. That's it. I want onion rings.
So
Nancy wants onion rings.
I will make sure it happens.
Do you have bacon? That's what Nancy wants. You want bacon.
Absolutely. We have bacon and sausage that we purchased from a
Oh.
local farm. Yeah, it's right here, right down the road in the next little town.
No,
You
you've
said
got to get.
sausage.
I've got to
Oklahoma.
get up there on
Oklahoma
steak night. That's the time.
No, I know. I'm
yes.
just like, you said sausage,
Yeah.
and we're
They
all
have a
in. You know,
special steak
October
night.
1st is Sausage Day, everybody. Know that. It is National
I'm coming to
Sausage
steak
Day.
night sometime.
So that's important. So everyone, hi-waycafe.com. I do want to go into the Rambler, but I want to bring our next guest on, Dan Backer. Seriously, I don't know how his great-great-grandfather, ate with the amount of beard he has. His great-great-grandfather is known for having the longest natural beard locks ever. So welcome to the show, Dan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing good. Are you hungry? Want some onion rings, some bacon, some sausage, burger, fries?
Sure.
What would you like?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds great. The sticker car, that sounds interesting. Did not know that. So yeah, it's
I know. Isn't this wild? Like, it's so interesting how, Beth falls into this, and then how your great-great-grandfather fell into having the longest beard. Give everyone a little backstory of this, because...
Well, it's interesting, so when you're a kid and you're in grade school and they have first day of class and they say, tell us something interesting about you or your family. This is something that I've used for years. Hans Langseth is his name. And he was born in Norway in 1846. He decided to get in a contest when he was 9 years old for the longest beard, and when he was 19 over in Norway, and the rest is kind of, as we say, history. He moved to the States, and he himself had 5 kids. He had 4 boys and 1 girl. And what's interesting about the daughter, Emma, which would be Hans's daughter, she actually raised her family and built the house right across the street from where I live in New Ulm, Minnesota. So I literally, every morning when I get up, I look across the street, and that's the house that they lived in and my grandfather grew up in. So Hans's daughter is from New Ulm, and actually Hans made some visits down here in New Ulm back in his younger days. But so it's kind of interesting. The legend lives on, and neighbor talked about how he would, what do you deal with it ended up being 17 and a half feet when he died. And what's interesting about that is legend has it that he still has a foot of his beard on his face, that his children, in respect to him, didn't cut it completely off. So the beard that's now nicely in the Smithsonian Institute, which they presented to them in 1967, is actually 17 and a half feet. So rumblings have it that it might have been 18 and a half feet, but they left a foot of it on his face.
Wow.
Yeah. So
because, there's that video out there, and everyone listening, in the show notes, I'm going to put the link to YouTube. There's a YouTube it's amazing, that has footage of Dan's great-great-grandfather, Hans Nilsson Langseth. And you can see, there's let's skip rope with a beard. But you could see that he almost had 2 parts of his beard, so I wonder if that's how they cut it.
What's interesting about that is the hair itself at a certain length, it dies. And he had the last probably, 13, 14 feet of it were actually dreaded, that he had rolled up into dreads. What's kind of interesting too, there was a stretch where the beard was missing for 40 years. And what ended up happening is my great aunt passed away. And when the kids were cleaning the house, they found the pouch. He would hang a leather pouch around his neck, roll it up on a corn cob, and stick it in this pouch when he had to do stuff, because he was a farmer. What's really cool is that for a stretch of his life, he actually joined the circus. And we just found out recently, I was doing some ancestry, the circus actually took him over to Europe for a little while. Cool. And legend has it that he really enjoyed, every once a week, the fat lady would wash it. And he really enjoyed that. But one reason why he quit the circus was he was so tired of people tugging on it, wanting to make sure it was real. That was the thing that he said out of the circus, was he was sick of that. But it's kind of crazy, like I said. And we're recently, and I don't know, so my bucket list for all these years is it's in the Smithsonian Institute, and I've seen pictures of it in a glass case. So I recently contacted them, and the beard right now is not on display. They actually rotate things at the Smithsonian because they have so much stuff. And so what they did is I've set up an appointment here on October 20th to actually, they're going to pull it out for me and my wife. We're going to head out from Minnesota over to DC. And one of the main reasons we're heading out there is for me to actually see and not necessarily touch and feel, but look at this beard. What's kind of cool too is they're saying that there's actually still food and some wheat grains that are actually in the beard from when it was on his face. But
no way.
I know some of my friends and family think it's kind of weird that I'm heading out to see it. I've just always had I just want to see it. And like I said, I know my wife's going to grab it and hold it up to your face. I said, maybe, I don't know. But
I want to see a DNA sample. I want to see it under a microscope if it's got like wheat grain and stuff in it.
Yeah, no, they said there's actually food particles in it. So which is kind of, not maybe kind of gross, but yeah, no,
I'm in. I want to know.
The jump roping video is legit. And they've, there's pictures of him holding it up with his brothers. And I know that there's actually also a film out there, I think, of him actually fishing with it.
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah, so
I saw that.
No, so like I said, so he passed away. So he was 81 years old, and when he died in 1927, and he's buried in Kensett, Iowa, and and that's at some point too to maybe see his gravestone. I know, like I said, he was a farmer in North Dakota for many years.
Wow,
and I can't
that's
imagine
hard
being
work.
a farmer with a 17.5-foot beard, but
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, so there was at one point, supposedly, and this is maybe just a story that was made up, but we've heard rumblings that there was at one point a gentleman that came to Guinness with a beard that was longer, but supposedly the rumor has it that when they did some investigating, the gentleman had woven in some horsetail hair.
Oh.
And it wasn't real.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another family story that's been talked about. So yeah, I've made sure for Christmas a couple of years ago, all three of my kids that are now grown, I gave them each a photograph of him in the story because I want this to live on. And, it's their great, great, great grandfather. And it's definitely, you Google Hans Langseth, everybody I've ever told the story to. He's sitting in this majestic kind of throne chair with it wrapped around his shoulder and holding on to the end of it with his hand.
It's an amazing picture, and everyone's going to see it from.
You have any idea where that picture was taken, Dan? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. I actually have our family. I don't know. I think one of my sisters has one of the original ones. So that's the picture that has been passed around forever, and we have, it's been copied many times. But one of my sisters actually has one of the original in like the folder from North Dakota, and I do not know what year that was taken.
Yeah, it's up on Wikipedia. People can see it on Wikipedia even.
Yeah.
Just for knowledge how this does the Jefferson Highway. Kensett is a Jefferson Highway community. Actually had a Jefferson Highway garage at one time. It had a bus station there on the Jefferson Highway, and I've got some pretty cool pictures of that town. And I was doing some research on that specific town, and I just came across this story, and that was probably about 2 years ago, and I was like, wow. So just recently, I saw a post of Dan's about this, and it just came to the story of him going to the Smithsonian and seeing it. I think is just awesome. So I wanted to share it.
And what about his wife too, marrying Anna Bernstein? When he married her, and then worked in Elkton Township in Clay County, Minnesota. Isn't that part of the Jefferson Highway, as I recall? Or am I getting I could be totally twirled around.
I'm not sure, but the Kensett is a town right on. It's pretty close to the Minnesota border.
I think just Nancy and I went through that area.
You probably went through it on your way to Minnesota.
Yeah, Clay County, Minnesota sounds so familiar. Elkton,
but he's buried there, and he has a very prominent marker there. It reflects to me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go check that out because it's not very far from where we're at. So
looks pretty. Really? It's like an obelisk. It's a pretty tall marker. It looks like to me. So.
Well, why didn't you all tell us when we were up there this year?
Well, I have never been there, and I wanted to go on our conference this year in Mason City, Iowa. I wanted to go there, but I couldn't.
Well,
I just couldn't make it.
Nancy, we're just going to have to go back up the highway again. What do you think?
Oh no.
We're just going to have to go back up the
What
highway
fun.
again.
No,
And hey,
it's
listen,
fun.
listen, I think right now where we are, I don't know if you heard of WOOF before or not, but we've got the world's Guinness record or Guinness World Book of Records of the biggest dog next to us here, the biggest Great Dane I've ever experienced sitting with us right now. And he's sitting here going, I'm the biggest dog.
Regal.
He wants to go after the
absolutely
Muffler Man. He
majestic.
thinks he's bigger than the Muffler Man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he probably
Beth,
is.
you may be in trouble. Beth, I wanted to go back to you about the American Rambler, choosing the 1963 car. I think that's kind of an interesting thing because even the name, I mean, it was this, when you think of road trips, right? There's the old school station wagon with the family, but then there's the rebels that drove the Ramblers on a road trip. That were heading west, right? You know, and the Rambler,
Yes.
the name the Rambler, I think there's something so cool about choosing car names, you know?
It's free.
And yeah, Rambler's good. That's a good name.
Free to
I like
ramble.
that.
It's really neat that it's the same year as the restaurant. That's really.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how that all worked out, but that's sometimes things are just meant to be, I think. So
huh. I like
Yeah,
that.
I just absolutely loved it. Once, the car that's on the inside is a two-door, it's your typical, I would think in the time it was probably the little hot rod. I don't know if it was or not, but
Yeah.
in my view it is. And we bought another 1963 Rambler that's a four-door, and we actually have it outside the cafe so people can stop and sticker the car outside and like take a selfie and kind of have fun with it, and then come inside and see the world record car. So we're trying to make it like a stop that's also kind of interactive. People can get out, stretch their legs, have something to eat, and also have something to do.
And for those who don't know, also the hotel next to it, the Western, you own that, correct?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Well, you
So
go, girl.
you not only you can stop there and eat, you can just check in right next to
You
it.
can roll over. You can check
spend the
in,
night,
go get food, and roll over. I like this. That's
right.
cool.
That's right.
Okay, so she's got the highway stop. So you are like the stopping point. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dan's great-great-grandfather, excuse me, his beard may not have fit in the Rambler, but it would make a really good Instagram photo if he did get in there.
It would. It really would.
I'm just saying, could you imagine? Like, here's the sticker car going off and the beard flying out the window, I'm just saying, Dan, how would you feel about that? Like, can't we recreate something? It'd be fun.
That would be kind of fun. I do actually right now have a little small beard, but it's interesting. I always, my kids growing up, I'll just maybe TMI, but I've got a hairy back, and I'm like, yeah, it's because of my genes. My grandfather. I mean, it's in our. They were just So I'm too old now. I'm 59 years old now, so I'm too old to try to break the record. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely been a lore of our family for many years, and like I said, we're kind of proud of it. It's kind of a silly thing, but I can't imagine somebody in today's world actually attempting to try to beat this just because it was a different time back then. But
the thing about it to me is he had it for so long. I mean, he started growing it in Norway and brought it to the country. So
he born in 1846. So yeah, he died in 1927. So yeah, he was growing it for.
So when did he meet his wife? And when did he get married?
Over in the States. He met his wife in the States. He
already had the beard then.
Yep. So I mean,
imagine the kissing. The kissing would be like, excuse me, move the curtain.
He's definitely. I'll just say this. I mean, he's a good-looking man. He's got a big, high cheekbones and had a good head of hair. And like I said, a picture somebody was smart enough to get that portrait made of him that was, done professionally. And it just is really a great shot of him.
Well, how many people get to look at videos that are still out there from old newsreels of their great-great-grandfather?
That blew my mind.
I know it is. And I
That's
guess
an awesome thing.
you got to know, they say he was quite a character, which makes sense to me because
yeah.
Who else would do that?
Yeah.
So I guess he was quite a guy. So yeah, I like, now you've got me intrigued here to stop and see his birthplace, or his gravesite, I guess. Now that you
Yeah, I want to go. I want
something
to go
kind of
and see
cool.
it.
I'd like to. I'm a historian, so
And his wife's buried there too, I believe.
okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check because we're not, like I said, I think
Mm.
it's a couple hours from us where I live. So
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
just to the west of Kensett, just probably out it was in a Lutheran cemetery, I believe.
yeah, no, I'll
But
definitely have to check
but he
that
was
out.
known as the King of Whiskers,
Yes,
and
yes.
I've got the world's
hmm
biggest cat sitting in front of me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're in the house of big animals, and Sir Reuben says, "No, my whiskers don't compare, but you can feed me again over it." But that's the thing. It's like it's these names, and it was kind of like when you think about what we had these circuses and shows, and when you think about what entertainment was back then and what it is now.
Right,
I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you got to think about the Elephant Man and all of that. Like that
right.
was like these
Yeah,
shock shows in
the
a
freak
way.
shows. Yeah, I know it's
The freak
definitely
shows, yeah, the freak shows.
exactly.
And
Mm.
but there's an entertainment quality, and if you knew he had it,
Right,
and you could make some extra money doing it, especially as a farmer,
Hey,
right.
why
because
not?
That's
just
just another
farming up in North
example
Dakota,
to
God.
me as you drive the Jefferson Highway and you explore it is how many unique Americana stories there are.
Hmm.
I've been
Mm.
into this now for about 7 or 8 years, and as you said many times, it's a rabbit hole.
Hmm.
It is
Yeah.
because you run into these great stories in all these towns. Everyone's
Well,
got
I
them,
know you got more up your sleeve here,
and
Roger. I know you're getting
uh,
there. Go on, tell us, because
and there's
otherwise,
just so many. I mean,
come
just
on.
in searching this a little bit and digging into it, and I've actually been there. The world's tallest man. It was not from Jefferson Highway town, but he was actually sued by a doctor, um, and was in a lawsuit. And well, let's put it this way: he was said bad. This doctor said some bad things about him, his ability to function, and with his height issues that he had. Obviously he had a medical issue that caused him to grow so big. And so they sued him for libel, and the doctor happened to
Oh.
be from the same county, and it was in Missouri. So they held the libel trial in St. Joseph, and then he came there and spent quite a bit of time and given testimony and stuff, and the community came to love. His name was Robert Wardlow, and I think he was almost eight. He was over 8 foot. I want to say he was close to 8'10", something like that.
Wow.
And there are pictures of him coming into St. Joseph. It's just amazing to see him taking pictures of him. And there's a really good museum in St. Joseph, Missouri called the Patee House. I really recommend people to go there and support them. It is you can spend a lot of time in this small community museum there. And one of the things they have is they have a life-size picture of him that you can stand and get your picture by. And my son and I had our pictures taken there several years ago. But he just kind of left a legacy there, and there's just a lot of other. There's another world. My hometown had a world record by a very interesting woman by the name of Laura Ingalls, and not the Laura
Oh,
Ingalls you would think of, but
I went
Mm.
Little House on the
she
Prairie. Sorry.
she was a pilot, and one of the pioneers. And most of you all have heard of. The woman. What woman pilot would you think of if I said there's a woman pilot?
Amelia Earhart.
Amelia
Yeah.
Earhart. She came to
Yeah.
Muskogee also. Our airport was one of the first
Huh.
airports in Oklahoma of renown, sort of in this area. And in 1930, they were having a rededication of the airport, and they invited Laura to come here. She'd only been flying, I think, for 2 years. She learned to fly in 1928. And so here in 1930, they invited her and some others to come here. And she was up to set the world record for the most rolls that you could do at one time. And she did, see if I can remember here. I want to say it was an unbelievable amount. Let's see if I can remember. Here it is. 980 loops.
What?
In this is, remember, this is a 1930 plane. This is like
I know. I'm like, you got me at 900.
This is not a jet. Okay. And I was locally. They said that the Chamber of Commerce were giving her money after she broke the record. By how many times over they would break the record. I think they finally said, we can't pay anymore. Get down.
Oh, my God.
So she went on to kind of have some infamy in her later years as she was prosecuted as a potential Nazi spy during World War I.
Oh.
So, World War II. And But anyway, it's just you can dig into these stories all along the route. Every town's got an interesting story, but there's several world records we haven't got into. And there's world records and I think everything from the largest afro in New Orleans to we've got the largest prison farm in the country is in Louisiana. There's the longest ice trail, I believe, is up in Manitoba. It's just it goes on and on. But these two stories we've got one from the past that's really awesome, and then we've got this one that's just been done by Beth and her group. And wow, I'm glad we got them on tonight to talk.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
So, yeah, very cool.
Beth, when we talk about these records, it's interesting. We talked about Nancy and I being in Yuma, Arizona. I know it's off the highway, but it's on Old Highway 80. And so it's just kind of these old highways have this history. And I kind of feel like towns do things and places do things, and it draws attention to an area that may need it. And Yuma, Arizona, Amelia Earhart stopped there. She was part of the Powder Puffs, I believe, at the time, and landed there during one of her major flights. And they also have it's the World Guinness Record for it's the hottest place, but they also flew because at one point they ended up in trouble financially in the town. So they did this big PR stunt of flying nonstop for days. Nancy, remember that story of the guys flying and then the other guy would drive the car underneath the airplane and fuel the airplane from the car? Like, it was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy story. But I think it's something that, I'm like, there's something, that kind of nostalgia. We do stuff now. And when you can combine the nostalgia together with what you've done, Beth, I think it's fascinating. When you are dealing with all of them, and they obviously give you a deadline and everybody gets on it and does it and you bring everyone together and it's something that's like, wow, we made this happen. But is it hard? Like, should people look at doing it on the highway I number one, by the way, there's Jefferson Highway Association stickers. And when we saw you, Roger, we should have asked you for one for the car. But, we'll get there.
I still got your award, so.
I know. There you go. Thanks. We'll see you when we come back through again, which we will. But everybody's stickers are good for cars. Sometimes they keep things going. Parts stuck together. You don't want to talk about the bottom of our car, the undercarriage. She's got zip ties right now. Do you think, Nancy, that she's still got her undercarriage? We don't know.
Now the plate thingy went away.
I don't know, but some guy was doing the oil, zip tied it, and said that'll get you back to Tucson. I see your records are in Tucson. I'm like, all right, it's been a few years, but doing this kind of thing, do you think that it can help draw attention to communities on the highway that are really small communities?
Well, I definitely I definitely feel like it is. I've embraced Jefferson Highway, Route 66, really the whole northeastern Oklahoma area. There was such I don't want to say dead space, but there was just not a lot of attractions in this area. There's, the blue whale that's close to me, and there are some things within a short couple hour drive, but for me, I was really trying to create something that I remember as a child, driving and seeing different roadside attractions. And, my family always pulled in. We were always the people that stopped. And, I remember a place in Texas going to Texas, and it was right as you crossed the Texas line, and it was a place to eat. But in the back, they had like live armadillos. You could see armadillos. And I just remember that was the gimmick. I had to stop there every time we went. And we ate. We spent, we bought souvenirs, and we saw the armadillos there. And so for me, it was just trying to create something that I remembered from my childhood, and I wanted to kind of share that with everyone else. And we have the giant outside, we have the Carta sticker outside, we have the newly restored neon sign that's right now glowing in the night, and then we have the world record car on the inside. So for me, it's really trying to create something, not just to stop and eat, which is great. We spent the first 10 years owning the restaurant just perfecting the food and trying to get it, the consistency in the food and the service. And so now we've kind of switched gears in the last couple of years and really tried to focus on making it a destination for people, making it not just someplace you see as you drive by, but actually want to pull in and stop.
Yeah, there's things we collected stickers as kids, right? Stamps, passports for national parks, Sorry, Nancy, you were saying?
Yes.
I was going to say when I was a kid, we would drive out to the desert all the time, and there was always these signs like "See the thing."
Oh, the thing out by New Mexico. You go from Tucson,
and I'm like, I want to see the thing, and my parents were like, "Shut up! No, I want to see the thing."
Yep, the kids will make the parents go.
So eventually, we did go see the thing. It was kind of disappointing. I'm sorry, and then there was the house that was leaning gravity wise. There was that, and there was just these little odd things when you're traveling that you'd see all these signs like every 2 or 3 miles. And so the parents really didn't have a chance because the kids would be all like, "Oh, come on, we're tired of the car. Let's go see this. Let's go see that." It's like on a long end. But the thing, dude, that was so funny.
If I have a question for you real quick, as you have a lot of international visitors that come through on Route 66 from all over the world. You have different people from different generations. You obviously have people that remember nostalgia of the road or Route 66 or any highways, but you also have a lot of people that don't really have those memories from all over. They're sometimes as an historian myself, sometimes it's the history, but no, what is it that drives people? Why are people so intrigued by some of these elements of nostalgia or whatever you want to call it? I'm just curious from your thoughts on that.
Well, because
I just
you must be something different.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, I think for the younger crowd, that was kind of the thought behind the car on the outside. So they could sticker, they could take selfies. Everybody's about posting on social media and where they're at and what they've done and what they've seen. And I feel like this is such a quirky thing from the Giant. A lot of people love the Giant has his own suitcase sitting next to him, and it's got stickers on it of where he's went and visited. And so they want pictures next to the suitcase. I think it's just the quirkiness of it for the younger crowd. I think for the older crowd, really, when you walk into the cafe, it still feels like it's an old 1950s, 60s cafe. And I feel like it's kind of the Americana of it for the international travelers.
Mm-hmm.
For them, I mean, I had people today, I was over here doing we're closed today on Mondays, but, you know, I had people today that were from Geneva, Switzerland. I had people that stopped from England. I had one other one, San Antonio, and Ontario, Canada. So I had people that stopped today that I was over here doing some cleaning and inventory, and I ended up just letting them in so that they could come see the car and kind of, you know, sign the guest book and visit about the cafe. And, you know, we're not open, but they still love to come through. And so that, I think for the international travelers, I just really feel like to them, this is the true representation of Americana and what it was all about, even, you know, 100 years ago versus what it is now.
Well, we have friends that document neon signs, Route 66 and things like that. And no, I mean, our magazine used to be Southwest Blend when we were back in our print days and website. And we covered Route 66 when it's actually became back to being Route 66 in Arizona when that started in that state. And it was honestly almost like the Europeans. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but the Europeans understand Americana sometimes more than Americans. We kind of just went, oh, that's our backyard. And I mean, it doesn't mean that's how we are now or in all of that. So I'm not knocking anybody. But I'm just saying, you know, the Europeans understood like this is this vast country with a desert and mountains and swampy places like New Orleans and Louisiana. And, you know, you got New York City, you got all these places, right? The Jefferson Highway has a little bit of everything when you think about it, because it goes through the swamps. It's got Texas for some desert. You get in through you've got the prairie lands. You can get into the mountains, you get into Minnesota. Not huge mountains, but a little bit, right, Roger? You got some in Oklahoma. You got some mountains out there.
Yeah, it's not. There's not too many mountains, but there, you know, it does
you know what I mean?
have Americana. There's a lot of the culture is different. It's much, the culture on Jefferson Highway, if you drive the whole route, is much different than even Route 66. It's different.
It is. It is.
And that's why I try to tell the folks that I work with communities and stuff is, you know, we have a story to tell international visitors too, if they want to discover us. We just, and we're just making steps one by one as we move forward and try to bring back this, undiscovered gem in the Jefferson Highway as we bring it forward. So,
I think America has quirky stuff.
Yeah,
we've been through parts of Europe and England and such, and
I guess that's true.
And done the road trips, and there's beautiful scenery, there's historic things, there's
castles and big buildings from old stuff that we do, but they don't have
the quirky.
They don't have a giant standing muffler.
Exactly. When I say quirky. That is something that like they would look at and go, we can't do that. You know, and Americans are like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Let's just do it. Let's do it. You know, I do have a question for Dan, because November is Movember, where everybody starts growing mustaches. Well, not everybody.
Oh boy.
Well, maybe I'll be there in a few years.
Well.
No, we won't get there about age.
Become the woman with the largest mustache. I dare you.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to be the queen of whiskers. There's the king of whiskers, and that is Dan's great grandfather. So Dan, what do you think about growing a mustache and like going for it during the month of November? Since you'll go see your great grandfather's long beard. What about the mustache movement?
I'm actually ahead of you guys. I've actually started one.
Oh,
so cool. And that's for the reason is actually I'm thinking I can't go to see his beard without any kind of facial hair.
There you go. Yeah, that's true.
The only problem is it's very white. I look like Santa Claus. That's why my kids are calling me Santa. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I know. My wife says it looks distinguished. So thanks.
Yeah.
But that's after 34 years of marriage, you know. But I like I said, we're pretty excited. I mean, I'm pretty excited to go see it. Like I said, some of my friends think I'm goofy. My kids kind of think it's neat. And I like I said, the anthropology department at the Smithsonian has been very receptive, and it seems like they're almost excited for me to come see it. So that's
that's great.
Cool.
That's awesome. I think I love that your great grandfather's story is out there, and thank you for joining the show and talking about it, because it reminds people of things like embrace it.
Yep.
There's something about,
Being different.
Beth's got the stickers on the car and she's bringing this Americana nostalgia back. But there's something also about growing something on your body and going for it. There's people with long fingernails, and which I would never win because
I can't imagine.
I can't have
seen
fingernails.
Some of that. I don't know how you live like that.
Yeah, that ain't happening. But everyone's got something, and I think sometimes we embrace it, and where people may think, oh, that's weird, I would never do that, right? Like the long fingernails. Sometimes embrace it. And there's a strength to that. And I think that's what your great-great-grandfather had, was some strength of knowing who he is.
Right.
To do it.
Yeah,
and being entrepreneurial about it too, right? Because he had to make some money from it, right?
Yeah, right.
Going around.
The circus days, like I said, he must have.
Circus day, that's
the
funny.
Circus days. But like I said, we were intrigued, like something that I did not know about, like I talked about earlier, the fact that it looks like he was in Europe for a year or so. One thing we can think about was he must have gone over there with the circus. So they actually traveled, which is just bizarre when you think about that. But he must have made some money. And
no, that happened. Also, Buffalo Bills did a lot of stuff over in Europe, and then it's been going on for years.
Right.
Like the musician Ryan Bingham, you guys might have seen him in Yellowstone. He was on our show years ago, and we were talking about it because he started out in rodeo out of New Mexico and all of that, and went through Disney to France to be in like this rodeo, like Americana style, right? And he lost his money to a cab driver because he didn't know the money. He gave him $100 and that was it. And he was screwed. And luckily the staff took him in from Disney and whatever, and, took care of him until he got his money. But that kind of thing has been going for years. The shows going to Europe for years. And I think a lot of musicians did it
pictures.
too.
I hope Dan gets some good pictures there.
Smithsonian. I will follow up. And like I said, I know there was a woman that contacted me through this picture that I had posted on this historic site on Facebook that did a story, and then she too wanted me to take some photos and follow up there. Fargo Moorhead newspaper, but that's kind of embraced it. And I'm actually gonna, at some point, my New Ulm local newspaper here, I want to let them know I'm going to see it, just because I think it's kind of neat. New Ulm Now and Then Facebook area that I think it'll be a natural to post some pictures about it. And like I said, it's I'm pretty excited. So it should be.
I'm so glad you got to share the story with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. The king of whiskers. Who knew?
I love it.
Who knew you could skip rope with it? I mean, that's a whole other. I'm just thinking of all those songs of kids playing with jump rope, and I'm like, that's a whole other take on it. Right. Everyone, JeffersonHighway.org is the website for the Jefferson Highway Association. Also, seek them out on Facebook for their main page, but also join in the discussion and post pictures when you travel. I owe the group some. I know we're behind, but we'll get there. But check it out. You're going to find things, all kinds of events that are happening. And, you guys are so active in that community. I love it. I mean, if my day doesn't go by without a Jefferson Highway discussion group post, I'm not a happy camper. And I'm a happy camper because there's always something. So I love that group, Roger. It's cool. People come up with all kinds of stuff, and historic signs and, just like what happened with this building. It's amazing. So keep up with that. And, thank you also, Beth. Everyone, her website is high-waycafe.com. It's HI. Have I got that right, Beth? And by the way, it's Beth Hilburn. Yes. I said Hilbrun at the first, sorry about that.
No, it's Hilburn. It's Hilburn with an H. Yeah.
Hilburn with an H. We got that. But she's not going to burn your food. I know that.
No,
I can see
definitely not.
Photos.
Not the onion rings.
No, don't you mess with those onion rings. No.
I want some now.
Is there a food before we go? Is there like a dish that everybody should know about for you? Do you have like a specialized, like this is the one thing you need to eat when you come in?
We sell a ton of chicken fried steaks, so those are kind of the go-tos. They're not frozen; they're the hand-battered cube steak, so they're the good ones. We also sell a bunch of. We have a Route 66 burger that's actually a bacon cheeseburger with grilled onions and mushrooms on it.
All right.
Oh, Nancy, there you go.
What's the deal with the vintage silverware? Yeah.
I have one set of vintage silverware that I purchased that's kind of a turquoise blue handled silverware. We wrap it up every day, and the lucky person that unwraps the silverware gets a free dessert.
Awesome.
Oh, well, I'm coming in.
Yeah.
You know, turquoise is our lucky color.
I
It
want to
is.
make a cheeseburger.
I know.
Down.
She's in. She's in. So everyone, hi-waycafe.com. Keep up with Beth there for the Highway Cafe. Do you have a separate website for your hotel?
We do not. We basically post on Instagram and Facebook. So it's the Western Motel and then Highway Cafe on both of those.
All right, everyone, keep up with everyone that we've talked about. I'll put all the links in the show notes for you. Thank you both, Dan and Beth, for joining us here. And thank you, Roger, as always. Roger goes on a rabbit hole journey every time we do these shows and brings amazing guests. So thank you, Roger. We also want to thank Arlene Gould and the Natchitoches Convention and Visitor Bureau for being a great sponsor to this show. Natchitoches, Louisiana is the oldest city in the state of Louisiana. They've got highway markers. They've got a Jefferson Highway marker now at a tourist camp that you can go to. This is a destination that is awesome. It's one of our second homes, we call, as we travel the country. So go to natchitoches.com. That is NATCHITOCHES.com. Did I do that right?
Speaking of, we
Nancy?
just missed the Meat Pie Festival last weekend.
I tell you what, though, they have the car festival coming up this weekend, and after that, it's October season in Natchitoches is off the hook. Molo's Plantation has a fall
Christmas is
festival.
off the hook too. So.
Christmas, we're going to be there for the opening night, Roger.
Oh, that's
After
great.
all these years of doing a Natchitoches show, we're finally going to be there for opening night. We can't wait.
Great.
Natchitoches has, I think I think it's 300,000 lights on Cane Riverbank. 300,000 lights. It's insane. They've been going for over 90 years. I think it's 96, 97.
It's the longest running Christmas festival in the country.
It's amazing. But we'll really find out. And then I'll send you pictures, Roger, as we're there. And everyone else will put it up on socials so people can see it. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on Big Blend Radio. We're here every fourth Thursday talking about rabbit holes on the Jefferson Highway. We can't wait for next month. It's October. We might get creepy. Take care, y'all.